I see people having conversations. Bakhuluma what you call this Isthunywa, Dlozi. And trying to tell people the difference and trying to tell people how they should know, of the what you call this churchical spirit, the one that always wants to have this prayerful way of living, and prayerful way of doing things, because at the end of the day, I think Kulumi Zulu. Let me try and talk Zulu because at the end of the day, this one involves a lot of people within the African culture, the difference between the ancestors and the spiritual guides. So, people who are within the English understand what you call this ancestors and spiritual guides are, but we don't understand what Isthunywa is and what Dlozi is. So I'm going to try and elaborate so that people can understand and try to differentiate between the two. Because I saw it on what you call this on YouTube. They were even talking about this very same conversation. So how do I start? I'm going to keep it short because these are just short videos. It's not my podcast, ne? So what's happening? Isthunywa. They like to say it's a grandmother or grandfather that passed away. That's an ancestor. That's Dlozi. Isthunywa. Isthunywa is like a person that passed away, like Michael Jackson, for example. After some time, Michael Jackson could come back in somebody in your family. You feel what I'm saying? And he could come back, and all of a sudden, that person comes back as a musician or whatever. Isthunywa is like Steve Biko. Steve Biko is Isthunywa. He can come back into your house and you can be liberated as a leader that builds a community and all those kind of things. That's how Isthunywa comes back. Isthunywa comes back to do what it always has been doing, and Isthunywa likes to sikhululeke, and it means that it has been spiritually doing that work for a long time. Like Steve Biko has been doing his spiritual work for a long time. Chris Hani has been doing the work he's been doing as a spiritual work. Marcus Garvey. That's why these people are worshipped as a religion. They even call it Pan-African, what. But I wouldn't even call it a religion. I'll call it spirituality. They are worshipped, these divine beings, and they are called Isthunywa. Same as Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ is called Isthunywa. You see what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, he passed away. Then all of a sudden, when he came back, he comes back doing the same duty over and over again. So that is Isthunywa. You see, that is Isthunywa. Isthunywa is somebody that passed away a long time ago, wasn't within your family, but at the end of the day, they could come to you and use you to do certain things to liberate others outside. You see. So, secondly, Dlozi, an ancestor. Dlozi is born in a family where there's problems. You see. And Dlozi does not go to where there's only one son, or they can go where there's only one daughter, they can go where there's only one daughter, but they won't go where there's two sons, because Dlozi usually chooses women, so they don't go to a house where there's just one son. Then from there, that one son is the one that needs to be fixing the problems there. No. They don't go to men mostly. If there's one child in the family, there should be a woman. And that woman is the one that will fix everything. But otherwise, usually, if there's only one man in that family, that man is not the one who fixes everything. It's not actually, he could be the one who fixes everything, but it doesn't mean Gutu Dlozi. It doesn't mean he has ancestors. He has to go for initiation or whatever. You see what I mean? That kind of person does not have ancestors. So I've been seeing even people initiating in doubles. For example, I've seen a brother and a sister that have been initiated. You see, and I'd understand if it was the sister. But now the brother also. That's also weird. That's off for me. I don't get that. I'm told if you're going to be initiating a person, you only initiate one person within a family, because idlozi alikhethi abantu abaningi ngaphakathi komndeni. It only chooses one person. Isthunywa can choose the whole family, but idlozi only chooses one. So at the end of the day, I always become amazed when I see a lot of people coming out in a family, let's say 2 or 3 of them there in their family, or 5 of them. They say they come from initiation. Babuyokutwaza. And I'm like, what? Kanjani? How? Because when it chooses one person. One person at a time. And it works with choice, Dlozi. Dlozi does not do things because it doesn't have a choice. It does things by choosing. It chooses. Because if it does things out of not having a choice, you could end up disrespecting it. I'm not choice but to choose me. So now you on your own, you need to understand why they chose you. Why they chose you. And at the end of the day, there's a reason why they chose you. And believe you me, they chose you because they wanted to choose you. Not because they had no choice. Not because you, just like you saying you have no choice but to do this thing. It's not like that for them. They chose you because they saw it. This one is the one we want. This one is the one that can do the duty. So otherwise, I'll leave you with that. If you don't understand a single thing, you can comment and ask me questions. You can even message me on my pad, on the pad to my Atenra, Because at the end of the day, I've seen that people didn't understand or understand or overstand what Dlozi is and Isthunywa is. And it's quite simple to understand. The spirit guides, and that's what you call this. And that's what you call this. There's ancestors. You see. So at the end of the day, if you really want to connect with your ancestors, you can connect with your ancestors. Your ancestors are always there. They are always at home. They are the ones that demand you to do things at home. You see. Isthunywa is the one that demands you to do things outside the house. Dlozi are there for your house, for the home. You see? Isthunywa for the outside. Dlozi for the family. You see? I can't take izinto zedlozi into church. You see? Because at the end of the day, that's when at church they're going to have a problem with me. Like, these things must be supposed to be keeping them there. Here at church, we're working with these kind of beings. We're working nature. We're working with we're calling upon angels. We're calling upon higher beings here. So what are you doing? You feel what I'm saying? This is the pet to my Atenra. Peace and love.